Hey, it's Wyatt Smith, founder and CEO at UpSmith. We're here at Service World Expo for another episode of Untapped with UpSmith, and really excited to have new friends, some great contractors in Bastrop, Texas, that we got a chance to learn from today. So I'm excited to introduce Dylan and Vivian Furgeson from Mr. Chill Cooling and Heating. Vivian and Dylan have got a really cool business that they're building, and I'm excited to get a chance to learn more about their story and lessons for other contractors out there. So welcome, guys.
Thanks, Wyatt.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Let's start hearing your story. Talk a little bit about your relationship and about the decision you had to go start this business, and just give people a little sense of the backstory.
Okay. Well, so, we're a husband and wife team. We had this business for about 18 months now. And, we kind of did things a little bit backwards. We had bought our first home together 3 or 4 years ago. And then we started a business together, and then we proceeded to get married. So, you don't have to do things the traditional sense. Things just a learning curve along the way.
Yeah, it all works out.
Different progression. That's well. Vivian, would you share a little bit about your story being from the Northeast and finding your way to Texas?
Yeah, I'm originally from Long Island, New York. Found my way to California when I was 21, and then now the great state of Texas for the last almost 6 years. Learned so much living in so many different areas, so many different types of areas, the big city, the coastal California, real chill, and then good old Texas.
Rural Texas.
Rural Texas. But learn to, appreciate, grew a lot of different values. And yeah, it's just been a really great experience. And never in my life did I ever think that I would be involved in HVAC or the trades. I've never, prior to...
What's your educational background?
I have an associate's degree in criminal justice. So...
Talk a little bit, though, Vivian, about what inspiration for starting a home services company.
I mean, we love to help people. I think that's one of our highest core values. And that doesn't just mean our customers. It also means our future employees, our current employee, our friends and family. Helping people is really kind of where it came from. Yeah. But also it's a good moneymaker. So we'll talk a little bit.
Dylan, talk a little bit, Dylan, about your background in the trades and about your work as an individual contributor, getting inspiration to build a company.
Well, so right out of high school, I started doing commercial air conditioning. I did that for a couple of years. Had a few different jobs in between, but came back to air conditioning in 2019. And, it's kind of a passion of mine. I love science and I love hard work, and air conditioning is like a perfect blend of the two. So I've had my master license for a number of years, and, we came to a point where she was running the back end of a business, a larger business in the area, and I was a general manager. And we said, we could do this ourselves, and we could do it the way that we want it to be done, where we were treating people right. And, it's a platform for building relationships with the community. And, since we've been doing it that way, we've really been enjoying the work that we do a lot more than I was enjoying it previously.
One of the things I love about people that build companies is that they get a chance to infuse their values into the culture. I'd love to hear a bit about your values and how you think about the culture at Mr. Chill.
Making people a part, sometimes in the everyday decisions. Right now we have one employee, his name is Ephraim, and we very much make him a part of our business decisions, where we want to take the company. We give him a piece of it in a way that, he wants to work for it. He wants to see that growth. Where, we don't hide our numbers from him. We don't really hide anything. I think it's having an open book policy is really important.
Yeah. So our core value is chill, and it's kind of the name of the business. But, you could put it out as an acronym, and I think we got an acronym for it that we came up with. But really, it's just being chill. When we worked at a larger company, it was stacking calls, and nobody had any time to really build relationships with people. So, we've kind of taken that away, where it's more... take your time on a call, make some friends with these people. They're your neighbors, and, why not make them your friends? And the business comes second. And when you do it that way, the business flows and it's natural. So yeah, chill is our business strategy.
Well, I think that's a fun anecdote to draw also about a story you were sharing with me last night on how customers build relationships with companies. And oftentimes it's with people. The people at the company are the reason why they come back. So share a little bit about your experience building trust with customers and how that's played into your own business.
He spends a lot of time with the customers, and I'm like, it's time to get to the next call.
Yeah, but every customer's got a story, and some customers have some really incredible stories. And if you just listen, you could really get to know people. And it's sometimes not the people that you would expect. One of our closest friends that we made from a customer, he's 82 years old. He's an old Vietnam War veteran, and we joined him and his wife for dinner, and that was a customer from 4 or 5 years ago, and they're still close friends. We've got another close customer friend, and he was a old Louisiana swamp man, and we go over there and have Cajun food with him and his wife, and gumbo. Yeah, and it's just fun. There's no limit to business. It's business and friendship can blend.
There was a really fun story we also talked about the ways that your experiences with your parents shape you, and your mom's a really dynamic lady.
Sure is.
Yeah.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. And so I love this story about like her commitment to like seeing her kids succeed, but also like taking good care of her kids. And so I'm wondering if you might share like a fun story or two about your mom's influence.
So it was cool to hear Danica Patrick kind of talk about how you can't really beat someone that's not willing to give up. That's literally my mom. She's never willing to give up on anything. She's very stubborn. I mean, there's so many stories. I could talk about Tony Soprano. I'm a New Yorker, from what The Sopranos came out in the 90s. So from as long as I can remember, I watched The Sopranos with my mom, and which is probably not the best childhood show, looking back, but parent tip. But I got very cultured, and it's one of James Gandolfini's best work. And when he passed away, my mom had called, and she was hysterical. And I was like, what? He was like a brother to me. And I was like, who died? And she goes, James Gandolfini. And I'm like, Tony Soprano? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I can't believe it. And, like, it's amazing how, like, these characters that you watch every day on these shows become like a part of your life, become somewhat you can identify with them. And I think that's, we're very Italian, New Yorkers. My grandpa was a bookie. My mom grew up in Astoria, Queens, and lived above the candy store that he owned, and which was just his bookie business front. So like, I think there was like she related a lot to him and Tony Soprano, but she took it a little far and ended up going to his funeral, finding her way in there and getting a little bit of holy water from St. Patrick's. I think it was St. Patrick's Cathedral. So she's relentless. She never gave up. All these values that she has passed on to me. I am relentless, very stubborn, but when I do believe in something and I have a heart for it,
Show up to the funeral.
I'll show up to the funeral.
There's a very good metaphor there about showing up that I think shows out in your mom's example and lives on in you for sure. I also love the story about inviting her down to Texas and giving her a really Texan experience. Would you share a little bit about that one?
Yeah, we're driving down, and in Texas, everybody, as they're driving, they'll give you the little T-Rex hand or the wave, but it's just kind of a common courtesy. And she goes, what do they want from us? Why are they waving at us? So it's just a little bit different culture. Texas is definitely community-based.
That's right.
Yeah, no, it's super community-based, and that's something, like I talked about earlier, in the different places I've lived, I've taken little pieces, and that's a value of mine is community and having a tribe. And for us, this year has been like a big year for us to get really more involved in our community. Like we're going to be doing a holiday giveaway for the oldest AC unit in Bastrop County, and we're going to do a full system replacement, free of charge, just to make sure we take care of our neighbors. Because at the end of the day, everybody in Bastrop County is our neighbors, and we want to make sure they're properly taken care of. So,
and I think this is really interesting. So, in our industry, if your system is older than 10 years old, you're a real candidate for a system replacement. How old is the oldest system in Bastrop County, Texas?
The oldest system I've seen in operation is from 1976. And one of the older AC guys in the area, he's retired now, but he's a good friend of ours, Jimmy Matheson. I went to the service call, system's still running, still full refrigerant charge. And I said, man, this is really crazy. Who put this in? He said, Jimmy Matheson put this in when he was in high school. And so it's really, everything kind of ties together in our community. But yeah, 1976, and I bet it's still out there running. I haven't been back.
Okay. A 49-year system.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
That's very wild.
Pretty impressive.
Very impressive, actually. Good job, Jimmy.
Yeah. Good job, Jimmy, and the manufacturers.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to hear a little bit about how you're using technology in your business. How do you think about it? What are the roles it plays in helping to deliver an experience for homeowners that meets the standard you guys have?
Yeah. We haven't gotten, crazy with all the automations just yet. Right now we have Zapier in place that we really like. And Zapier will just send automations for review requests, for debriefs to our Slack channel that, when Dylan or Ephraim are, they're out in the field, and once they complete an invoice or a job, it sends a Slack message for them to fill out a little debrief form. It's just our way of like a kind of like a checklist. Just because as of now, we're not using Service Titan just yet because we aren't large enough. That's something that we do love about Service Titan is that they have those checklists.
Do a lot of training for the new types of systems that are coming out, like the inverter systems, and just staying up to date on what that technology means and how it impacts the homeowners and how it works with airflow.
Yeah.
And then we also, invest a lot in technology as far as our tools go. We have all, the latest field piece.
Dylan loves his tools.
Yeah, field piece combustion analyzer, so we could check for furnace safety. And it's nice when you get involved in the technology in the industry. It allows you to do a much better, cleaner, more accurate job.
Mm-hmm. That's great. How are you thinking about artificial intelligence in the business? What are the roles that you'd like AI to play? And even if you're not using it today, like things you're thinking about wanting to test out in the future?
We are fortunate to be partnered with Clover. Laura and Josh Kelly, incredible people. Cannot say enough good things about them. They have, changed the way we look at our business. We met them in January, and just ever since then has been such a great experience, especially with their team. They recently had Ken Spanky Motzkowitz join their team, and he has spent a lot of time with me via Zoom, helping me set up blog posts that are very helpful for AI, and just like building out different areas like that. I'm not very tech savvy in that sense, so I'm going to sound silly. But he put a lot of effort into that with me, and he didn't have to. But
yeah, and they were saying that, right now is like a really pivotal time where people, Google used to be the standard, or search engines when people had questions and they were looking things up. And he said it's almost at like a 50-50 point right now where people are using AI to answer questions,
right.
Like how much does a banana weigh or something silly, but they're asking ChatGPT and they're not throwing it in Google anymore. And so, with that also comes the home service industry, and I think that in the next year or two, we're going to be seeing huge changes in this technology. So I'm not really sure how we're going to grow with it, but I would love to learn.
It's fun to think about the ways in which discovery changes, how people find contractors to work with, and particularly when your brand is very focused on delivering a great experience and being chill, that will come across. I had the chance to spend time with Laura and with Spanky earlier today too, and I think they're really remarkable people.
You sure are.
You're exactly right.
We are fortunate to have so many people in the home services space just be willing to share, and there's so much room for everybody. That's the thing about it. Yes, you have your direct competitors, but at the end of the day, we're never going to stop needing air conditioning. We're never going to stop needing plumbing or electrical. You know what I mean? And there's always going to be room for everybody to work with everybody. So I like, for us, we like to make friends with other contractors rather than, especially in our area. I mean, we love if we can't get to a job or something's going on, we pass it on to the next. But Laura does an amazing job, and so does Josh Kelly. I mean, part of Clover, you get to sit on a meeting with Josh Kelly, and he spits fire every single time. Every time I get off a meeting, I'm like, we've got so much to do. Not in a frantic, freaked out way, but so excited, because he makes it feel exciting.
And, Josh, he's a really busy man that run a big business there, and
multiple businesses.
And he took the time to have an hour-long Zoom call with us just to make sure that we were getting the best out of Clover. And to me, I thought that was incredible. It was so much valuable information, and he wasn't impatient with us. He was just excited to be part of a growing industry, and I love that.
Yeah, and the belief that they have in their contractors.
Yeah, that's great. All right, let's close with a couple lightning round questions here. First is productivity hack, a thing that you do that's a tip for being your best self.
Vivian is a productive one. I'm sometimes I have a tough time like sticking to tasks, but Vivian really helps keep me on track. So my productivity tip is that if you have a tough time focusing, make sure you have a partner that's able to keep you on track.
I mean, I need to exercise. There's a lot of energy here, so exercise is huge for me. But I write things down. I have little checklists that I refer back to. Apple Notes is my best friend. Saying it out loud. Because if you say it out loud, you have to hold yourself a little bit more accountable than just keeping it in your head or on this little notepad. So I try to say things out loud and set myself on timers and listen to peaceful sounds while I do it so I stay focused.
That's great. Best book or podcast recommendation? This one accepted, obviously.
He knows what I'm about to say.
So me and Vivian, we're big Jocko Willink fans, and one of our big core values is extreme ownership. And, Jocko's got the book about extreme ownership. So extreme ownership's, it's really important to us. And I think it's a value that's important not only in business and your personal life, but just for people in general, because it teaches you to take responsibility for your own actions and to know that you are responsible for the outcome of your decisions. And so, we read that with our employee, and we really take the lessons in that book to heart. Is that it means a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I love that book. I love what they stand for. Anybody can be a leader. Up the chain of command, down the chain of command. It doesn't matter. Anybody can be a leader. And I love that principle. And I love that it's how empowering it is. So extreme ownership is just one of our absolute favorites. Podcasts. I'm a podcast gal. Love me some podcasts. Cleared Hot is an awesome one. Tommy Mello's got some great stuff. And then, anything he touches really turns to gold. So, always trying to listen to and be surrounded by people or, put my ears around people that are doing it and way smarter. That's the goal, really, right? You don't really want to be the smartest person in the room. So.
And then final question is around advice that you would give your past self. So you're 10 years younger and you're giving advice to an earlier version of you with the wisdom that you've acquired since then. What would you say?
That's a tough one. You want to start?
Yeah. I've always been extremely hard on myself. So I guess probably giving myself a little pat on the shoulder, just being like, you're way cooler than you think you are. And it's all going to be okay. It's going to work out. Just chill. Go meet Dylan. That'll be good for you.
I think some advice for my younger self would be, I don't know, maybe be a little bit more responsible. I think that responsibility is something I've learned maybe in the last 5-6 years. And that's a tough one, especially as a young man, because I don't know, I just kind of wanted to goof off and horse around. But yeah, I mean, I think that's something that you just got to learn with some hard life lessons. But I'm glad it's brought us to where we are today, and I wouldn't trade any of it in.
Well, now you've got extreme ownership as the right mindset. I'm grateful to know you both. Vivian, Dylan, thank you very much for the lessons that you're sharing here with our audience. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Untapped with UpSmith. We're excited to have you back for the next one.